And you had a whole bunch of adults put up, made out of cardboard, horror houses. People were selling costumes in stalls on the edges so you could go in. You could arrive in a business suit, get dressed up as a monster, and party, and then leave on the night train.
Sweet. Sounds like fun.
That's why it's such an awesome place.
And
Okay, but that's cool.
I thought that
Good
was
asking you.
super not Japanese, and at the same time super Japanese. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's like both.
And on that note, welcome to That Japanese Thing. Today, we're talking about the fall 2020 anime. Welcome Yesh, welcome Dylan, my name's Chris. How you guys doing?
Hello, hello.
Good, good. Well, I'm well.
Fall
I hope everyone
2022.
else is- Fall 2022, that's how we're doing. I'm gonna fall down in this lovely year.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna talk about anime. And we've all watched some of it, maybe not all of it. I've tried to watch as
Absolutely not
much as I could legally obtain.
Oh,
And,
so you watched about 3 shows then?
I mean, I think I've watched 14 or ish, or at least some episode of one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a kind of a surprising amount this season, but
As a technical note,
yeah.
using a VPN to access Netflix Japan is technically not legal.
it's not legal.
It's a gray area.
It's not
People
legal.
don't persecute it, but having access to that library is not legal.
No, it's not legal. It's just against the user policy of Netflix.
No, it's literally not legal. They don't have the
it's
right
not.
to show you that content. Because the rights for that content in this country are owned by someone else.
No, and I understand that there might be some copyright issues involved with that, but using a VPN is legal. And
Using a VPN is legal. Yes.
and accessing Netflix with a VPN is legal. So anything else that happens thereafter is technically just not my problem, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I mean, it's illegal, but it's not my illegality.
Yes, yeah,
So to
it's not your illegality.
Yeah.
It's just Netflix has to crush that every so often. Which is
Yeah,
why we have to
sort of.
change VPNs.
I suspect there's some like underhanded deals that they say, okay, we have to, get the shareholders on board again. So
Chris, saying that there's some underhanded deals implies that there are overhanded deals.
Correct. I understand. But you know what I mean? Like every like 9 months, your VPN stops working.
Working.
And then,
Because
exactly 30 business days later, it starts working again.
It starts working again. Because they are required by law to prevent that because it's illegal.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just so we can show the
The
copyright
world that
people
we try.
that it's working.
We're trying.
And then we're just going to stop doing it. All right, okay. So let's go through. I'm just sharing links so everyone's on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go through
My anime
this
list, seasonal anime is... Yep.
Indeed. I will start us off there. Actually, let me get your opinions. What do you guys watching? What's your favorite stuff so far? Let's go with Dylan first.
Ooh. I would say a strong contender for me is Gundam,
Ooh, yeah.
the Witch of Mercury.
Let's start with that then. So, Gundam Suisei no Majo, with the Witch from Mercury, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is the latest Gundam, and it surprisingly doesn't seem to be an Iron-Blooded Orphans universe one. But it's not I'm not sure if it's main universe either.
It's definitely not UC.
Yeah.
Not Universal Century.
It kind of looked like it was going to be Grim Dark from the prologue, which was just, a soul-crushing slog to get through. And being only 20 minutes, that's surprising, I guess. Where just like everyone just died in horrific ways, I guess.
True.
Which
Although
is, just a traditional way a Gundam series opens.
Starts. Yeah, I was going to say, if you look at them, the majority of them actually start with, oh, I've lost my entire family. I wasn't supposed to be a pilot, but I guess I am now.
Heavy degrees of war trauma.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the protagonist's family dying, or some of them at least dying, or like, their school being blown up, or like the space station they live on being invaded or something like that. Or them becoming a criminal. Those are the ways Gundam starts. This was a little girl watching like her father be kind of shot to death in a Gundam by some sort of space criminals. We don't really know who they are, I guess. But then it transitions into the school arc.
Yeah.
Of like a... I don't really understand the school, to be honest. It seems to be like kind of...
Might makes right. The school's entire motto is might makes right.
Yeah, but it's like
nothing else matters. Morality doesn't matter. Only might.
It reminds me of like LaRouche and Code Geass's kind of upper class kind of knights ethos.
The Britannia
kind of
Empire.
Yeah,
they have a dueling club, and basically you can ask for whatever you want as part of a duel, and somehow that's more or less legally enforced.
Mm.
I don't really understand that, but the point is it's not grim and dark or anything. And there's a protagonist that stutters as much as I am right now, which is quite nice.
It's very edgy. It's very teen high school edgy. Because everybody's father and mother are horrifically evil people who punish them for their entire lives.
Yes.
And they're just trying to be cool and have fun, man.
It kind of feels like, what if Shaw was like a woman, is the mother of the main girl, with that with the whole mask thing that's going on. The other main protagonist girl is the owner of a giant corporation, somehow.
No, she's the president of the entire country's daughter.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Who's the guy who basically orchestrated that hostile
Takeover.
Destruction of her family and the entire thing, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then everyone else is some sort of minor kind of nobility kind of thing. And then there's some Earth people who are the sort of peasants in this series for some reason.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Pretty typical Gundam. The division between Earth and space creates heavy
Spatians and the
friction,
Earthens.
Yeah.
which breeds the birth of a Gundam.
But like
Indeed.
if you're a factory on Earth, you're not allowed to produce goods for Earth. You've got to produce goods for everyone else other than Earth, kind of deal.
And then there's some sort of Bene Gesserit kind of June, the witch kind of aspects of it,
Yeah.
where you have more psychic powers. The better your psychic powers are, the better you can pilot a Gundam, which is
It's
just
the
part of Gundam.
traditional Gundam new type. So,
Yeah, but except they're called witches now in this
Yes.
version instead of new types.
Because apparently the Gundam is a curse in this universe. It kills its pilot the most
Right.
painful way possible.
Yes, yeah.
Unless
So-
you're Airy. Yeah.
In order to use the Gundam system, you have to be a witch.
Yeah.
Because you have to get cursed and then call upon that dark power. It's all very weirdly like eldritch for something that's shown as being purely technological.
I mean, Gundam's always had that kind of weird.
Techno superstitious kind of, because it's all like explained with nanites and AI and the rest.
Although, I don't know if both of you have watched up to episode 5 yet. I'm assuming you have.
Yeah.
I think I'm up to date, yeah.
Very minor spoiler then. Very, very minor spoiler for anyone listening. I'll take about 2 minutes to say it. You can skip ahead.
Cool.
This last episode kind of ruins it for me a little bit. Not like the whole show is ruined or anything, but it like kind of like breaks its own laws a little bit. Because the whole point of the show is that they're competing noble families who all have their own tech divisions, creating mecha that are better, and the best mecha get the most power, so you want the best mecha.
Okay.
But like they're all like, we're developing new technology. And in this last one, the guy at the end of the episode challenges Soleta for a mech.
Yes.
Which means nobody can have any technological secrets at the school. It can happen.
Right.
If that shit's allowed, you can't have tech
But yeah,
secrets.
that's what I was going on about. I mean, there are no rules, seemingly, to what is
Yes,
acceptable.
yeah. So, like, it makes sense from, like, a rule of cool standpoint. But from, like, you want your universe to make sense standpoint, it doesn't.
I would argue that it does make sense because it's complete monopolization at that point.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with Dylan. Yeah, you're right. There's like there's some corporate kind of dynasty kind of stuff going on there.
The side with the better technology and the better pilots, because they've got better training, because they can afford it,
Yeah.
are gonna basically be able to hoard any special tech. So your top 3 are gonna remain your top 3. Meanwhile, everyone else squabbles and infights and.
Well, see, the problem I have with this is it means that none of them can ever develop a tech that the others won't immediately have.
Well, I mean, if you win the duel, right?
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
just saw in the episode before that you can go and fuck with the environmental controls. You can literally put paint on the mech's camera visor. There's all
Oh,
these
sure.
ways to mess with victory. If you can't protect your company's secrets, you can't like this
Yep.
competitiveness can't exist
No,
Yeah,
within
but
the
then
system.
we're thinking too deeply about, you know, a cool
Yeah.
way of having
Yes, yeah. Rule
high
of
school
cool. Rule of cool
students, you know,
definitely has to apply.
dueling Gundams, basically.
Yeah, but also just like as a note from reality, remember rules only apply to the serfs, right? If you're up at the
Mhm.
top and someone spray paints your
But
mech,
see,
of course you can stop the whole proceeding and be like, guys, this isn't fair.
Yes.
And you know, from up high, they'll say, "Oh my God, how could someone cheat?" Meanwhile, you know, if someone from Earth's visor spray painted, they'll be like, "Well, they weren't good enough to survive."
Pretty much.
I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like they shouldn't be able to do that even to each other.
Okay, so
That,
Gundam,
anyways, ignore that.
The Witch
Yeah,
from
carry on.
Mercury, good show, would
Good,
watch.
good,
Yeah.
quite good, engaging.
I love the up as well.
Yeah, I like both the songs actually.
Mm.
Yesh, what's your number one?
My current number one is Mob Psycho number 3.
Mob Psycho number 3.
Very good.
What's it about?
Season 3 of Mob Psycho. We've given up the pretense that this is a psycho show entirely. Like, the whole universe still exists and everything. But this is much more high school.
Yeah.
Mob is trying to find his place in the world, trying to figure out who his actual friends are, and his connections to other people are being threatened. And in the last episode that was aired, it was actually like brought to a head that his connections matter to him. Where previously he would have let things go because he kind of felt detached from the world. Those connections are now pulling on him to get involved in conflict, which is
Yeah.
something he tried to avoid at all costs in season 1.
So I kind of was a bit bored for the first 3 episodes, I must admit.
They're setting up this conniving, scheming cult thing, so there's a lot of setup involved in that.
Yeah, and then basically up until he starts fighting Akiba. Sorry, spoilers.
Well, I mean, it's set up from episode 1 that
Pretty much,
Ekubo's
yeah.
gonna go
He
act
also
out.
fights Ikubo several times.
Yeah. But I mean, like the current kind of mega battle thing that's going. Like, this is an actual spoiler, so skip ahead like 30 seconds. But Ikubo turns into like golden form Frieza
Yeah, yeah.
for a battle.
Well, we saw that
yeah.
form of Ekubo the first time Mob met Ekubo, when he attacked him at the original cult.
It wasn't quite this
Quite this, maybe not.
cheeky, I think. But it, I'm enjoying it again. I didn't really like the high school drama stuff. I think I'm mostly there for Reagan and Mob.
Yes, yeah. But, like, the relationship tensions is what they're trying to build up. The fact that his brother turned, the fact that all of the girls around him turned. We were supposed to get the build-up of, oh, he's actually getting attention, Mob's developing a bit of an ego.
Yeah.
And then it all just vanishes immediately.
Yeah. It's still
And
it's
his brother
still-
and Reagan turning was also kind of creepy.
I mean, I'm still gonna recommend it. You gotta finish it especially if you've watched the rest of it. It's ramping up, so hopefully it's gonna be amazing by the end. Okay, and then for me, I'm not entirely sure what my number one favorite is. I think I'm kind of split between like Chainsaw Man potentially, and it's actually hard to say. Let's just pretend like Chainsaw Man is my favorite for now.
Cool. Were you going to say Eminence in the Shadow?
No, I was definitely not
Oh,
going to say
damn.
Eminence in the Shadow.
God damn it, Chris.
I'm not even sure if I want to continue watching that, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so Chainsaw
So
Man
Chainsaw Man.
is just great. I love basically everything about it. It's like smart but crass at the same time. It does a lot of it does a lot of character building with like incredibly kind of like low born like lunatic people, you know. The main character is for some reason kind of orphaned and in debt to the mafia, who turn out to be demons. Of course, why not? And so he's like living in a shack with a little demon dog, which has a chainsaw for a head. And, and some circumstances happen and they end up merging into one being. And that's how he becomes the Chainsaw Man, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing about the show I really like is particularly I like the character, the boss lady character. I don't know what her name is, but she's the person in charge of like the group of weirdos.
Makima.
Could be the dead-eyed lady with a smile.
That's
One
Makina.
that you're sure is like a horrible eldritch horror.
Yes.
Or a bureaucrat.
Same thing.
Both are good.
But I mean, I don't like her as like a person or anything, but she's interesting, and I think all of the characters are interesting because they're just weird. The main character is just so downtrodden that her offer of like a full breakfast, with coffee and waffles and butter and syrup, is basically all he needs to form like this weird, unshakable bond of loyalty towards her. And then I think what's happening in the series is they're going through all of the characters like basically their motivations, and they're all going to be strange motivations. So the vampire's motivation is she wants to keep her cat alive. Like that's basically what she wants out of life. So he just wanted to basically be able to have a normalish life, be able to afford food, and maybe go on a date sort of thing. The vampire just wants to have a pet cat, and I'm sure we're going to get that from basically the rest of the characters, I think.
I do think because it is a central plot of the story, we need to mention that our MC's main goal in life is also to feel up boobs.
Yes, I was trying to skirt around the exact nature of the wanting to go on dates thing.
I feel like every time he attains a goal, like because now he lives in an actual apartment and has an actual breakfast cooked for him.
Right.
Then he's like gets bored, and then the next thing on his list to attain sort of pops up. So now it was to be able to grope someone.
Right.
And well, who knows where we're gonna go to from here? The sky's the limit, guys.
But it's just so it's like a Guy Ritchie film, isn't it? Kind of like an anime Guy Ritchie film, except the man has a chainsaw for a head.
Yeah. And the sort of the characters are like really flamboyant, brightly colored. Definitely not normal.
Kind of just having fun. They're always in pairs doing things. Yeah. And the opening song is such like a grungy, punky kind of thing.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
like the protagonist's relationship with the that blood demon, the vampire lady, can't remember. That is such a cool thing because they're both just kind of like kids, just messing around, but kids with like insane amounts of power.
Right, like the vampire just rips off like a bear's head and drinks its blood, sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, but everything about it so far. I mean, the blood and the gore and the stuff. Sometimes I don't like that in a show, but this is just it's fun gore. Nothing's like disturbingly disgusting or anything like that. Even though it probably should be, but I think it's because it's got such like a high tempo kind of upbeat pacing to it. It just feels like a great it's like a British action hero kind of movie thing going on there. Anyway, highly recommend. What do you guys think?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
it's very fun.
It's good.
Good.
It's very fun.
Okay.
Amusingly, I feel a little uncomfortable watching it because he's so. It's like watching a slow crashing car.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Watching Denji. I read the manga and I actually enjoyed it more because I think I slowed down whenever his cringe got too much for me.
Right. I think he just doesn't understand anything, right? So he doesn't understand that things are not going exactly the way he wants them to. But that's kind of
that they never will.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's in a much better position than he was like at the start of
No, yeah, I understand that, but people have actually explained to him what his position is. He just doesn't understand it. Like she says, "You're my pet,"
Yeah.
And she better do what I say, sort of thing.
And he's like, "This is a good thing."
Yeah, I get coffee and waffles in the morning now. It's amazing.
See how great life can be, Chris, when you have like bedrock standards.
No, exactly.
It just goes up from there. It's great.
It's kind
so
of
happy.
He's so charming, and so vulgar at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wonderful. The person who wrote this must be such a weirdo. I'd love to meet them. Anyway, let's just go through the list of everything else now. We can talk as we go. So, Spy Family.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Spy Family Season 2 is great.
Technically still Season 1. I think.
Technically still
Yeah,
Season
it's-
1. I think that's a bit weird, but sure.
Like, we're now in this weird habit with anime where they and other cartoon shows where there's a part 1 and a part 2 to a season, which
Yeah.
like you're subdividing my seasons. Why are we doing anyway?
I can
sorry.
tell you
Well,
why.
just to give more time for people to work on it,
For the-
basically.
It's because the animators can't animate fast enough.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they want to give their animators a break so they don't develop problems. It's part of the new health thing. Rick and
Which is
Morty
good.
is the reason why
Yeah.
I know about this as a note. It might
Yeah,
not
yeah.
apply to everything regarding anime because Japan has different ideas about worker comfort.
Oh.
But at least with
Tell
Rick
it.
and Morty, they had the option of releasing a season every 4 or 5 years, or releasing a season, half of a season, then taking a year break, release half of a season.
Yeah.
And people much prefer having that up every half a year,
Yeah.
every half a season, than just like dropping an entire season. But it's
Yes.
now been 1/4 of your life since you last watched.
I'm super happy about having, especially because it's a long season, right? So it's essentially
26 episodes.
yeah, right. So you get. They did this with Kamuy as well, and basically that felt like you got 4 seasons within 2 years or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
instead of 2 seasons over 4
That
years.
is- I don't mind that. I just like the subdividing it categorically rather than saying, yeah, well, the first half is going to be aired during the second season, rather than going part
That
1,
season.
part 2, season 1, subsec, like
Yeah,
one
no,
point
it feels a bit like
3.8.
Harry Potter Part 1 and 2 sort of thing, but, it
just
actually
cut
makes
the
sense
season.
with a season, and it's not so bad. It means you have to wait less time between things, so
Yeah,
I'm kind of happy about it. I'm not watching My Hero Academia anymore, I've decided. How about you guys?
So this is the time skip arc. It has some good moments that I'm hoping to see animated, but I will say the MHA manga has become horrifically bad.
Yeah.
So
I lost all interest after the school battle arc, I think.
Yeah, I watch it with abs quite. Well, I have been watching it with abs quite assiduously, so I'm probably gonna watch part of it at least and then decide.
I think you know where you stand on
Yeah.
this. It's if you're really into it, you'll be into it and continue watching it. But I think after season 1 was so good, and after that Detroit Smash or United States of Smash, whatever it was. See, I don't really think there's much they can do to live up to that moment.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of over for me.
Can let it
Bleach?
die now in peace.
Season
No,
75 continues
Yeah.
now on Disney Plus, I believe. So
I don't do endless anime well. And this
No.
is like same with Naruto. I used to love Naruto. Used to love Bleach
yeah,
when I was in university, and then after a while, I was like, I looked at it and I was like, no, I've stopped loving this thing, and I'm just watching it to pay homage to how much I used to love it. Don't actually want to do this. And that's how I
what?
feel about
Sasuke betrayed us again? Oh no! Who
For-
could have seen it
for me,
coming?
Bleach
And-
was very useful. People might not know this, but we used to do some live action role playing, and I would make my own costumes, and I made a suit of chainmail while watching all of Bleach. Because it was just a mindless thing I could put on in the background.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I
Sounds about
used to like Bleach. I think I used to like it when I was 17. I'm not sure it's still that interesting to me right now.
Yeah.
Blue Lock, you still watching this yet?
So I've only watched 3 episodes. There are 5 out now, I believe.
Yeah.
I will say it's a good show.
I thought the
The
animation
problem-
was outstanding. in some
Ridiculously outstanding. The voice acting is actually really good. It's kind of difficult to pick up in the moment, but if you actually go and watch the episodes while thinking about voice acting, the MC character, Yoichi, he's actually incredible. He's got lots of range and there's lots of emotion.
I thought,
If I have one complaint about shonen manga,
yeah,
sometimes the MCs are just screamy boys. They just have one screaming voice.
Mm.
Yoichi has a lot of emotion.
I thought, yeah, I was gonna say the animated, like the way they mouths and everything, which like,
Move, yeah. For a thing that's supposed to be about soccer, it's ridiculously well animated.
Yeah, I have no interest in soccer football, but it looked cool.
Up was very cool.
Yeah.
First 3 episodes were very good. I will say I have dropped this.
Yeah,
I am
me too.
disappointed in myself for that. I just don't have the time to keep this one up as well.
No, it's it's a sports anime, and it's a good one. If you're into
It's
that,
certainly a good one.
You will love it. But there's a bunch of other things that I'm watching. Okay, this one people might be a little bit controversial. What's it?
Eminence in the Shadow.
Is it that? It's the Eminence in the Shadow, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Eminence in the Shadow, if I can just talk first for a second here.
Yeah.
I really think that the adaptation messed up. Because in the light novel and in the manga, we begin with Sid in the universe that we are in. The universe that he will be in, rather. And it establishes the story, the setting, and the background. And then it tells us many, many books later. I think it's light novel volume 6 that he's a transmigrator. He came from our world and shows us some of his life in our world, in the real world.
Right.
Whereas the anime began with Sid in the real world.
Yeah.
And like Chris will tell you in a few minutes, this set expectations entirely wrong for the show.
Yep.
So going from that to he's a little child going through high school drama, it's kind of like, I understand why some people might be wrong-footed and feel disappointed. But I will say, if we just give this until episode 8 or 9, I think you'll actually buy in.
Okay. Let's find out what Dylan thinks if he's watched it.
I don't think he
have
is.
not.
Okay, that's fine then. Let me rant a bit.
Go
Like,
ahead.
The first episode was basically entirely happened in the first in our real world sort of setting, in real world Japan, and it was kind of like a real world dark grim high school setup thing where this guy was. What's that superhero show with the girl and the father character where they just kick ass? I think it was called maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
kick-ass. Yeah.
It felt kind of like that, but like darker. And he was just like a vigilante. He wanted to be a vigilante. He had this little like German book of German spells, and he wanted to like be like some sort of like Batman type character. And he just went. He saw like a girl being harassed and then kidnapped, and he went in and he kind of logically took out the kidnappers. And it was cool. I thought it was pretty good up until that point, and I was looking forward to a second episode in that show. And then in the post credits, it's just a scene of his body being hit by Truck-kun, right?
He literally got isekai by Truck-kun. As a note, Eminence in the Shadow, the light novel, is quite old. It came from Haruhi era.
Right.
So Truck-kun was very popular at that time.
Anyway, and then we also see how he got hit by the truck, which is just so dumb. It was just him like spacing out, like saying, "Oh, I want to become a real power in the shadows. Give me power, dark gods or something." And then he gets hit by the truck. So that's obviously his last thought before he dies, which is why he gets reincarnated in this universe. That's
I
kind of
need
the thing,
more
right?
power.
I need more power. In very bad English.
I love the English.
And then it transfers to the second episode, which is the worst one, I think, so far.
Yes, admittedly, the second episode's bad because we have to go through his entire childhood.
Yeah.
So very little
we do it
is
so
actually
quickly.
happening.
We get introduced to some peripheral characters, and I don't know any of their names because they didn't spend any time on any one of them in particular.
Alpha.
Really.
The only character you need to know is Alpha.
And it's just a letter of the Greek alphabet, right? All of them, alpha, beta, so on and so forth. They didn't even like bother to give them real names. And so
The
it's
harem is like that, yes.
correct, and they're all like elves. It seems to me they all have pointy ears anyway.
So Alpha and Beta are elves. Delta is a dog-human thing.
Okay.
We didn't really see her too much. We just saw her like sitting in a tree while explosions were happening.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't matter. I mean they're all like sort of non-human characters. And then he goes off to school at the end of that episode after some minor stuff with his
He
sister.
graduates to high school, yes.
Yeah.
So we find out that his sister is ridiculously powerful as well.
But he's also sort of playing with her because he's secretly more
He's
powerful.
even more powerful, yes.
Anyway, and then the third episode I thought was great. I loved it. Perfect episode. It was fun. It was
Is that the one where he asked the princess out?
Well, yeah, he asked, and she like says yes, and he's not expecting that. And then there's like just a kind of comical set of sequences where like they're toying with each other in different ways, and it's fun. And then at the end of the thing, she gets kidnapped, I believe. And then it goes into, I think, an acceptable kind of standard isekai pattern after that. And I'm not sure if I really like it or not anymore. So I don't know what to think. I think the way they did it is bad. And
I do think
probably,
making that
I
first
think-
episode like that is a real mistake.
because it's such a different tone from that to the second episode, and then
And
again
it's
to
also
the third
kind of hard
episode.
to like the show when your expectations have been incorrectly set.
Yeah, but I don't know what to think about it right now, and I think a lot of people just won't tolerate that. I think a lot of people
Maybe-
probably
maybe
stopped
not.
at episode
I
2.
will say it's just going to ramp from here. I mean, you saw the end of the last episode, I Am Atomic.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. I'll continue watching it for a while and see how it goes.
As a note, sorry. While we're talking about the My Anime list and going down it, I have
Sure.
noticed that we've gone through 3 lines, and I haven't seen the best anime of the season yet.
I know, right? It's strange. We're about to come to that, of course.
I hate people. Carry on.
What's this Fumetsu no
Your
Anata?
eternity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. I remember. Okay.
Long running. Blah. Just skip.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm not gonna watch it. I gave up on the first season.
Yeah, if you liked the season 1, obviously watch the season 2, but it's more of the same.
Okay, then I am watching Uzaki-chan wa Sobitai Double. It's more of the same. It's fun. It's just about like a really hyperactive girl and like a really not stoic guy, but like a socially awkward. No, not really socially awkward, but like
A very reclusive guy. His
Reclusive,
personality is introverted.
yeah. And they get into like a whole bunch of weird situations, and it's just slice of life, and it's fun. I recommend it. There's like just something to have on in the background. But nothing much more to say about that. Tensei, okay, the sword reincarnation thing.
Reborn as a sword. Just as a fair warning to anyone, especially the people who have read the manga, maybe skip this anime.
Okay, why would you say that?
Because, okay, look, I don't want to stir a pot or anything. The anime has decided to go for fan service, and our MC is a little girl, like a tiny little girl.
Ugh. Okay.
The
Well-
manga is not like that, as a note.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this one. But that's mostly because it has the name Reincarnated as a Sword as the title.
Lord. I did enjoy the manga as a gag manga.
Yeah.
It became a bit serious and I stopped reading it, but it has some nice gags in the beginning. But I will say this adaptation is... I don't like it. This adaptation, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Now, next we have Urusei Urusei,
Yatsura.
sorry, I keep saying it wrong. Urusei Yatsura. Because Urusei is obviously like, shut up, you're annoying. Urusei is like just a play on words because she's from the stars, which is the say part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of annoying person, it's like annoying star person, I guess.
Okay. I didn't actually get that.
But yeah, it's anime from the 80s that's been redone, and they haven't really changed the personalities of anyone, so most of the guys feel like 80s dudes, like 40-year-old 80s dudes, despite the fact they're like 14-year-old boys. But I'm enjoying it, actually. I think the first episode was a bit strange. The whole like tag game thing. I don't know. Have you watched any of it, Yesh?
I watched episode 1. I felt like I didn't enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Because the MC, I'm not talking about the girl,
Oh,
I'm
he's
talking about the guy.
terrible. Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah,
So
I hate him so much as well. But
I
he's
just
supposed to be
I don't
hate-
want to watch a show when I'm angry at the main character.
I think
So
I think
just
what you
stopped.
might, if you can get to episode 3,
Mhm.
Because he's the antagonist. The main protagonist is the antagonist of the show. That's what you kind of have to frame him as to enjoy it. So he's there to cause chaos throughout every episode because of his just rampant horniness, essentially. His character is he wants to date every girl in the world, basically. And inappropriately so, I suppose. And that's just who he is. But you get introduced to like a whole bunch of like interesting characters throughout. So like the Star Girl is for some reason obsessed with him. Then we get like a super rich pampered kid who arrives to school on an aircraft, like a military you know those things that carry tanks, those transport aircraft? It has like his own like mansion inside of it, and then he gets out of it and jumps down and parachutes to school. He's like the most down to earth of the characters in the show. And then a bunch of other aliens, and the thing is, it's like a combination of, it's kind of like a Gintama kind of world where you have your aliens, your supernatural beings and such. So you have like your little Buddha characters, your Oni. There was Tengus in the recent things, but they were kind of Tengu aliens from another world. The Star Lady, another kind of Star Princess girl. And it's fun. It's an interesting thing just being translated from an older thing to a new setting. And I think it works. I'm not sure it's going to be a super hit or anything, but it's very interesting. So I'd say worth your time. And then Yesh, is this the best one so far?
Yes, indeed.
Why don't you talk about it?
Mairimashita Iruma-kun Season 3! So Iruma-kun Season 3 has decided to shake things up, where Season 1 was largely about Iruma establishing relationships with his class, and then Season 2 was establishing relationships with the world, and showing us that there are threats in that world. Mm-hmm. Season 3 is about self-introspection of the class, and I mean the whole class.
Yeah.
We get to see some of the side characters develop, we get to go through the daily lives of some of the side characters, and far more importantly, we finally get our shonen arc in Iruma-kun.
They're just doing Naruto. It's amazing. It's just Naruto again.
It's go into a forest and survive for a period of time Naruto arc. Except instead of try to get to the tower in the middle, in this one you have to survive for 30 days and gather ingredients to garner points.
You'll see like the what, I don't know what his powers are, but like the one guy in the abnormal class, he's in Naruto's orange jumpsuit for this. And all the characters, all the characters have their own like Naruto kind of equivalent thing that they're doing in the season. It's amazing. I love it so far.
It's Naruto, but with a comedy arc, no edge, no like teen angst going on, except entirely possibly based on how the anime is treating Clara at the moment, it is a little bit more emotionally damaged than I was expecting. But I think far more interesting is that all of the not rejects, what are they called?
Abnormal.
Not delinquent.
The abnormal class.
All of the abnormal students had to go through hell training in hell.
Yes.
It was ridiculously hellish. And we get to see them push to the limits and develop as characters. I'm super happy with this arc.
Except for Iruma, who just basically was treated like he's normally treated.
Well, Iruma also, for the first time in his life, wants to disagree with someone. He wants to prove someone wrong.
Yes, yeah.
That's something he's never had the will to do before.
I mean, his catchphrases, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Exactly. But after he did the that's fine for like a week, the person called him an idiot anyways, which is something he's never encountered before. So now he wants to be an even better gopher for her so that she can't call him an idiot, which is just the most Iruma way to approach a problem, but sure. But even more importantly, I think this arc will really show the difference, because a lot of people compared Iruma to MHA when MHA was in its prime, because it was a class of like supernaturally powerful people, effectively.
It's so different.
This arc's really going to show people how to do a classroom superpower arc correctly.
Yeah, it's also a comedy, and kind of also for maybe a younger audience than MHA. Well, maybe the same-ish age, but like a more comedy-oriented thing.
It's definitely more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every character is very distinct and has very much their own personality in Iruma, and it's just great. I really like how like Asmodeus is having like a existential crisis about his role in the world because he doesn't
He's
know.
supposed to support Iruma, but he hasn't been able to see Iruma.
Yes. Oh no.
My personal favorite from the training arc. Sorry, Chris. I'm gonna remind you of something. Kursal, the girl that's secretly an idol.
Mm-hmm.
She was locked in a cage with monsters, so that
Yes.
she could understand monsters and sympathize with them to make their connection with her stronger. And the way she evolved was instead that she thinks of them as so much lower than her that they're not creatures anymore. They are dirt beneath her feet. Her evolution was to learn to ignore the stench of monsters and just rule over them with an iron fist, which was not the lesson she was locked in there for.
I'm sure that's going to come back to like the idol thing at some point. I hope it does.
It's just I love so much about how this author has thought out all of the characters, and now he's just running through stories with them.
Okay, but anyway, Iruma,
Yes.
a must watch. I'm sure everyone
Definite
agrees.
boss watch, probably best of the season.
Okay, and then we have More Than a Married Couple, but Not Lovers. I watched half an episode and then gave up on it. So
I have watched 4 episodes of this.
Really? Okay. Well, please.
It's
tell
a
me.
good show.
Really?
So the problem with this show is that the premise and the setup are really bad.
Yeah. Okay.
I do think the introduction to the show and the introduction to the characters is kind of ham-fisted, and also the animation style.
Not great. Yeah, not great.
So I can understand bouncing off of it for anyone who bounced off of it in the beginning. Also, it's another high school anime, so I understand. Once again, people watch high school anime and go, "Nope, I've watched enough of these," and skip. But I will say that the characters develop after episode 2 or 3. You end up with some interesting conflicts, interesting internal dilemmas, and some character development.
I kind of my thought was it's another high school anime, romance anime this season, and it's not my favorite one. So
drop.
I was just not going to watch it.
I can't suggest this to anyone. Unfortunately, the anime quality is really kind of low.
Yeah.
And the voice acting is a little bit trash on some of the side characters. But the main couple, the Gayaru girl and the introvert guy, are solid as characters. They've got good voice acting, and their interactions become real cinnamon roll, give you that warm, glowy feeling watching them interact kind of thing, if you're not like a hopeless incel that's jealous of other people having attention.
But you know, I thought I was gonna like it because I liked the trailers and I liked the write up. You know, I liked the idea of.
Well,
kind
I
of
think the thing
weird
that
thing that's going on.
will force people to bounce is that the characters initially start off cold towards each other. So, unlike some of the other anime that we might watch where the characters start out sort of liking each other and they're too shy to carry on,
Yeah.
in this one they are not aggressive to each other, but they're antagonistic.
Sure.
So it can feel like you're watching something that will not have progress, or it'll be kind of irritating because the characters are irritating. But I guarantee you, by episode 3, they have started to warm up and work together, and like watching growth arcs is what I'm here for. That's what I watch anime for.
Yeah.
And these guys have a pretty solid, like, something about the guy develops that I personally view as a problem I have. So it appealed to me in particular, let's say. But watching character growth, this is one of the better shows for it.
So obviously I can't really recommend it, but Yesh is giving it the thumbs up.
I'm saying it's good, but I can't recommend it.
Right. Don't know
It's
that you
so
watched it.
badly animated.
Okay. Anyway, next one, Shinobi no
Ittoki.
Ittoki. I tried to watch this, I think, but I don't remember it.
I did not watch this.
Yeah, okay. Can't talk about that then. Sorry.
It
Next
looks
one.
really bad. So
Yeah. It doesn't. The poster's not great. The next one I think is pretty fun. I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss.
A good show. I can recommend.
It has the outstanding voice acting of Takashi Rie
Yeah.
as the main villainess character. And in general, the voice acting isn't spectacular in this, but you know, she's fun to hear.
She's always fun to hear, and the scripting is kind of like funny. So
It doesn't take itself seriously, and you can tell that by the opening song in particular, where it's just this. It doesn't even explain itself anymore. We all understand what an isekai otome game thing is at this point, I believe, right? So it's just a girl who finds herself in the game that she used to play when she was a Japanese high school student in the real world. She finds herself reincarnated as the Villainess. She knows that the Villainess gets eaten by the Dragon Prince, a Demon Lord character, eventually, or squashed by him or whatever. So she has to stop that at all costs. And she's already failed to do that by the point she becomes self-aware in the game. So the only recourse for her is to, and it says in the English, taming the final boss. But yeah, she goes and kind of like proposes marriage to the Demon King.
and tries to feed him love potion to
Feed him
force
love potion. She's just very aggressively like trying to get on his like good side, and it starts working eventually. But it doesn't come off as super creepy or anything either, because everything's just kind of upbeat and smiley the whole time. But there is some kind of dark stuff with her classmates and her former fiance, who's a prince, who's the brother of the Demon Lord, who was the first prince, but since he's a Demon Lord, he can't be the king. So it's a whole thing going on there. I think it's fun, and I give it like a 6 out of 10. But it's kind of just got that kind of like candy-like quality anime.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Definitely.
that you can just consume another episode and episode after that if you really wanted to binge it. I think it would be quite easy to do. So I recommend. What do you think, Yesh?
For me, it's a 7 out of 10. Totally worth the time.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think it's so easy to get bogged down by wanting something deep or wanting something complex. This is very simple and very fun.
Dill, did you watch?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
The next one, I think, is a skip for most people, unless you like cat ears or dog ears or some sort of ears on a girl. Because that's all it is. It's Beast Tamer. So it's
A mixture between an isekai and wanting to pet animals.
pretty much.
60% of it is finding cute animals and petting them, and 40% of it is powering up and fighting.
Yeah, so the Japanese title is basically just saying you join the hero's party because you want to like pet cat-eared girls. That's the substance of this. It's just your isekai story, sort of. Not really even, like a hero's party story. But all the girls have some strange ears. Can't recommend. Didn't really even get through the first episode entirely. What do you think, Yesh?
I think it's okay.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm sorry, I just think it's okay.
Yeah. Next is Bocchi the Rock. This is pretty great. It's a high school girl band where the main lead guitarist is incredibly insular. And so she spent like 3 years in her room learning guitar really, really well. But she has no form of social skill. And I don't mean she's just like shy or anything. She just doesn't know how to deal with people. And the first time she performs on stage, she does it from in a giant like box that, you know, like a washing machine would have come in or something. So it's got that kind of feeling to it. Bocchi obviously means lonely in Japanese. So this is kind of just her coming out of the box, I guess. That's the story. And yeah, it's just like a cute, fun band music show. If you like guitar, if you like singing and that sort of stuff, I recommend it. You watching this, Yesh?
Okay. I have not watched this one.
Yeah, no, it's up there. I'd put it probably in the top like 5 or 6 anime I'm watching this season for sure.
This season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen it, Dill?
No, but I'll give it a look.
Okay. I've missed the Maid War thing completely.
Guys, anybody who's ever even slightly squeamish, never watched Akiba Maid War.
Right.
If you maybe have eaten in the last hour, don't watch this
Oh
show.
no.
Akiba Maid War. I was so confused in episode 1 because it looked like it was going to be about maids, and it technically is, but there are times when half of the screen is red and there's no cooking involved. It's more violent than I was expecting.
Oh, that's good. Because I was planning to watch it. I just haven't got around to it
It's
yet.
crazy, like properly crazy.
No, I know. I've been looking forward to it. It's nuts, the story there. It is basically just a full-on war, but happening with maids.
And like not like off-screen violence too. It's proper on-screen violence.
Would you recommend?
Honestly, if you're looking for that kind of thing, I can recommend it. Yeah.
It might be a
You're
good
looking for violence.
substitute for the what's that other one called? Dropkick on My Devil kind of fandom.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So, for anyone who watched Cyberpunk recently, remember how that feeling about how the violence was like weirdly 90s?
Yeah.
This is like that.
Okay. Lots of gel packs and splatters and such.
So if you want to see maids die horrifically and gore and violence, then this is the one.
But for weirdly low stakes too, death just kind of occurs.
Yeah.
So the next anime I think is my lowest rating of the season, just on how bored I was
farming?
watching it. Somehow gotten stronger when I improved my farming skill. Yes. The title says it all.
Yes. Well, kind of. I think this is a joke on... in D&D, we've recently made the joke. Not recently. Repeatedly is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
That farmers should be the strongest people in D&D worlds because they live on the edge of society where monster attacks happen all the time. You're always going to farmsteads to go hunt monsters. This show kind of takes that comedy and like pushes it to 12. Our MC reached max level in farming, and that has translated into combat
Fighting skills, yeah.
So he can use a hoe, swing it, and the air and all of the ground in front of him immediately gets hoed for like quite some distance. And like he can use that in a very extremely powerful way. But he doesn't want to become an adventurer. He's not a transmigrator. This is not a isekai. He's literally just a dude born in this world who became the strongest farmer.
Yeah.
And the kingdom's trying to manipulate him into becoming a knight, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I don't know. It just came on. Like, every sort of cliche was presented to me very quickly.
It's super dumb. All of the
Yeah.
characters are dumb. The harem is dumb. The kingdom is dumb. The setting is dumb. Yeah.
Yep. Can't recommend. Animation wasn't good either.
Mm.
Next one, I feel differently about though. Do it yourself.
Do it yourself. I've only watched 2 episodes. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I think that's enough to form an opinion. So we have just a DIY club at a high school. Obviously all girls, as all things are. I think it's an all girls high school, so that sort of makes sense. And they have this little like shed in the back of their school where the DIY people do their thing.
Like a little bit foresty at the back of this school too.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it seems like a really nice school. Be happy to have that at my school. Our things are all just in a building. But it looks so. It's great. It's sort of not really. I don't think it's teaching anyone anything necessarily. This show. But it kind of, someone might feel that way when they're watching it, because it just sort of presents itself as learning how to do various DIY kind of skills and such. They'll always like do a thing in an episode. They might do some like mosaic work in the one, and they did some repairs to, I don't know, like the roof or whatever in another one. And I think the main thing for me is it's just quite like a.
It's like a thing you watch off to the side while you're like reading or something.
Could be that.
It's very relaxing.
Very relaxing. I think no, the characters are actually pretty good though. It's not necessarily background material. The main head of the club doesn't really know how to deal with people properly. She's very nice and everything, but kind of off-putting in like a kind of butch sort of way. Kind of gruff character.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second member is kind of a ditzy, accident-prone person, and they kind of complement each other in that way. And then thereafter, everyone is slowly introduced in that sort of pairing up way. Then you get like a shy kind of cutesy girl, and then you get an obnoxious like American brat, and that's just how the pairing is continuing so far. I think we're going to probably end up like 6 people total, and then the rest of the season will play out. It's like Eurocamp or Encouragement of Climb is the English name of the mountain climbing show, but a little bit more comic-y and a little bit more pointless. If you want to learn how to like hit a nail into some wood, this is the place for you. But I'm enjoying it so far. Well, I recommend another 6.5, 7 out of 10 for me. Yesh, recommend? No? Yes?
Recommend yes.
Dylan, you watched?
No.
Nope. Okay, Golden Kamuy. If you've watched those seasons, you'll enjoy this one.
I have not watched this one.
Renai flops. I don't think I've.
I tried. I swear to God, I tried to watch this one. Do you remember that show where they were trying to start up a video gaming club?
Oh no! I did watch this. There's a fortune teller thing in the beginning, which has like a bunch of lucky items, and everyone is connected to the introduction of one of the female like love interests in the story.
Mm-hmm. Each of the items relates to one of the girls.
It was kind of awful, and there was a scene with a dog that I don't really want in my anime. So I wouldn't recommend it. I think if you like,
it's an ecchi. I think that says everything we need to say about the show.
An ecchi, weird dating game kind of world. Can't recommend. Yes?
I cannot recommend it, but some people enjoy this kind of thing.
Sure. I don't know what this one is.
Uncall. Don't worry. It's
season 2.
Part of an entire video game thing. Skip.
Cool.
If you're not into Uncall.
Then we have Raven of the Inner Palace, or the Palace Crow, as the Japanese title would be. It's quite a good historical, like Heian period Japanese drama about this priestess of a particular deity at the court, and she sort of has the ability to see ghosts. So she's useful in solving crimes, essentially, and giving people a resolution on deaths and that sort of thing. It's not a comedy or anything, but it's also not super heavy to watch. It's a bit of like a paranormal investigation kind of vibe in a medieval Japanese setting. I'd recommend it. I'm going to continue watching it. I do like that era of stuff. Have you seen it?
I watched a little bit, but I have to admit I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
I like lost interest literally inside the first episode.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, if you're not interested in the sort of aesthetic of it, I think that's it. It looks beautiful. That's the main selling point.
It does have good animation, but
in particular, just the
I
drawing
didn't like
style.
the people.
Yeah, they're not the most interesting people.
And they talk too much. That's my personal opinion as a note.
Well, it's about that. It's like a palace intrigue thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
know.
Talking is the story.
The exact issue that I have with this. Yeah.
Arknights, Reimei Senso.
Arknights. If you're into Arknights, watch. If you're not into Arknights, skip.
Pretty much. Immoral Guild? I haven't seen this one.
Futoko no Guild. I watched this. Futoko no Guild is actually okay. I was hoping for a little bit better because the comedy in the manga is great. The delivery of the MC's lines is wonderful in this.
Okay.
I will say it's there for the comedy. Don't go in for the
Story.
capital letters plot.
Right.
Don't watch this for that. This is very much for the comedy and only for the comedy. The main
good.
character is a snarky, competent person trying to teach other members of the guild how to become competent adventurers, but all of them are slightly stupid in some way. The monk is clumsy, so even though she's fast and super strong, she always falls down. The magic caster refuses to cast lower level magic. The
Maybe
knight,
vibes. Yeah.
the knight wants to subjugate her teammates instead of the monsters. Stuff. Everyone has problems.
It seems
and
like
our-
a good funny. Well, it does have the etchy tag. I would just point that out.
Mhm. It does have the etchy tag because whenever the girls fail to accomplish something, the monsters give us a little bit of fan service for like 2 or 3 frames, but like the fan service is very minimal. I'm not going to try and sound disappointed with fan service, to be honest, as well.
Sure.
But yeah, this doesn't really do the titillating fan service thing great. It's mostly for the guy snorking, and I'm here for the guy snorking, so.
Yesh recommends.
I
Next
actually
one?
do recommend, but it's not a very good show.
Fair enough. Next one is Bibliophile Princess.
I have not watched.
Bibliophile Princess. I watched a bit of it. It's a bookworm girl is going to fall in love with nobles and things like that. It's fine. If you like kind of those princess stories, like what is the other one? The Saint Pharmacist one from a few seasons ago. Very similar to that.
I guess so, yeah.
Not great.
I
but
haven't
fine.
watched this, so I don't know about the quality at least.
Skipping over Peter Grill. Don't know what this one is. Management of Novice. Oh, yeah, this one I did watch the first episode. It's just about a girl who wants to. She's an orphaned girl. Her parents die in a cart accident in a magical world, and she becomes determined to become the best, alchemist in the court. It's fine. Solid fine for me. Did you watch Yesh?
I think fine is a good way to put it. I only watched episode 1. I will say that this is the most, fantasy story in the current era fantasy story.
Right. Yeah. Nothing special about this.
Like, they tried to make a cute girls doing cute things kind of story inside of that, but it's go to the guild, get strong, oh no, bad adventurers, oh no, bad
There's a
monsters,
little bit
oh
like
no.
problem solvey kind of things that go on in
It's
it.
so
but,
minor, and everything just evaporates when the author gets bored, you know?
Right.
I did not invest in this story at all.
Play it cool, guys.
Play It Cool Guys is better than it seems at the beginning. Play It Cool Guys is about a group of guys who want to appear cool, but are deeply not cool. It's kind of... Remember Daily Lives of High School Boys?
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of like that in the interactions.
There's a counterpart to this happening this season as well, which I'll get to. But yeah, I think it's good. You can watch it. It's fun.
Comedy is okay. It's not as funny as Daily Lives of High School Boys,
No.
but it is funny.
Next one is just Pop Team Epic season 2.
If you like Pop Team Epic, watch this.
They made fun
people
of
who
how
like Pop Team Epic.
they made
loved
fun of in the episode of how bad the show is. I don't know. They call it like a kusa anime, in the show, and they were like, how the hell did this kusa anime get a second season, sort of thing, for like 5 minutes. So they're aware of what they are, and that's fine. I don't like it.
I don't watch it, but I do recognize that the people who watch it love it.
Yeah. I haven't seen the next one. See Danchi.
Haven't seen that one.
Mm-mm.
Okay, this is the counterpart to the cool guys one. So
Mhm.
the little lies we all tell. So the Japanese titles is the 4 people, all of them are liars, basically. And so it's kind of nothing, but it's also fun to watch. So there are 4 girls at a girls' school, and they're all friends, but all of them are lying about something that's very important. So the one, like the main human girl, is a psychic. So she's aware of the fact that all of them are always lying about things, but she can't expose herself as a psychic, so she can't tell anyone about it. The most attractive one in the bunch is actually a guy who's a twin, and the twin sister wanted to swap schools so she could stalk another guy. There is the little kind of like lolly character who's actually just an alien, and you'll see there's a saucer that's been crashed into the roof of the school. That's her spaceship.
Okay.
Her hair ribbons are actually like her mouth, and they start bleeding if they get tied in a bow or anything. It's kind of weird. And the black-haired girl is secretly a ninja. So yeah, that's a story. It's fun. It's nothing serious, but I'd recommend it. Next one is Berserk. If you like Berserk, you'll continue watching it.
I mean, yeah, it's like third kind of reiteration, sort of just building more.
Yeah.
The anime fans, the Berserk fans are terrified of watching any more Berserk anime, though.
It's true. Anyway, next we got My Master Has No Tail.
I have no idea what this is.
Okay, so the girl in the green is a Tanuki, and that's her in human form, so that's why she's got the leaf on her head. I think, I'm not sure, the purple-haired girl is a storyteller in near modern Japan. Basically, electricity and like trains are a thing, but it's still maybe 150 years ago. And she tells tales in like the sort of Kanto region, in like a comedy show sort of setting. And like the Tanuki is sent to the city to annoy humans because supposedly that's what Tanukis do. But she falls in love with the idea of like telling stories and such. I think the main storyteller might also be like a kitsune who's lost her tails or something. She's some sort of magical thing. That's why she knows what the Tanuki is and all that sort of stuff. It's very interesting if you're into that particular kind of culture, I suppose. Like if you knew what this this rakugo kind of storytelling is, I'm sure this would be a great show for you. But I don't really know much about it, so to me it's just kind of a bunch of weird sort of things happening that are portrayed in like dramatic ways, and I'm not entirely sure why. But yeah, I guess I'm not stopping watching it. So. Yeah, I recommend, but I strongly recommend if you are interested in that particular stuff. There's another Yowamushi pedal. So this is interesting. Yamano Susume I was speaking about earlier. Encouragement of Climb, a terrible translation of Yamano Susume.
That is kind of horrific.
Yamano Susume is mountains I recommend, right? And it's about climbing mountains. And next summit...
Kid girls doing cute things.
Yeah, but this show actually came out in 2013. And it was 15-minute episodes. And it never really got the budget it deserved. So what they've done is they've kind of remade all of those into a full-length anime. Kind of condensed them down into this next summit season, and now it's sort of, like a proper anime. So I recommend it. It's probably the best way to absorb the show. Although they have cut out a bunch of stuff. Because I assume they're getting to new new plot after they just go through the previous short few seasons when they've run out of material there. But yeah, it's actually really interesting if you like hiking or just going out in nature, because they all go to real locations. They'll go through climbing Fuji. They'll go to various other mountains in Japan, and it's actually informative and probably a good show to watch if you're outdoor inclined at all. I enjoy it a lot. Legend of Manor. Don't know why we're getting this, but if you like the game, probably you'll watch and enjoy. Ooh, this one is weird. So this show is Aruasa Damihead Mike ni Natteita. It's about a person who dies and is then reincarnated as a series of inanimate objects. It's all 5-minute shorts. Don't know what to think about it. I don't particularly like it, but it's kind of an interesting concept. Have you looked at Muv-Luv Alternative, Yesh?
I have not watched the new Muv-Luv. Muv-Luv is a long-running show now, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's been 3 seasons. It says second season here, but they've had 3 releases, I think. I don't actually follow the alternative line, so I don't know what's happening in it.
Anyway, I think we're running out of major anime releases. So we got Eternal Boys, which I was speaking about earlier. It's about middle-aged men who've been formed into an idol group.
Mm-hmm.
Fun premise. I haven't been keeping up with it though. And then skipping over a few things, there's Human Bug Daigaku, the Human Crazy University, where they take
What that is.
it's a strange kind of diatribe kind of storytelling device where they have a criminal, the main character there. It's very poorly animated, terrible animation. But the main dude is a criminal who's been put on death row, and for some reason the hanging doesn't take. So they send him to a weird as a weird guinea pig to this university who does experiments on him. But the experiments just always induce new memories from his life, and he's telling stories essentially about strange things that have happened to him. I don't know if it's good or bad, to be honest. I thought the first episode was horrific because they really deal with that whole sentence to death thing very graphically. And they show him hanging from the rope for a while, and all the emotions you would feel beforehand, and it was quite harrowing. And then the second episode was about eating sushi and being stabbed by a fish. So kind of whiplash there a little bit. I don't know. I maybe it's not for everyone, I would say. And then I think the Megaton-kyuu Musashi Season 2. The show is terrible and to be avoided, pretty much. That's all I can say about it. There is not too much else to focus on anime-wise. There's a thing, a Romance of the Three Kingdoms movie that's been adapted to a TV series that's also airing on Amazon right now. And it's pretty excellent. But it's not necessarily exactly an anime. It is an anime, but it's made by a Chinese company and then, dubbed into Japanese. So, but the animation is excellent. The story is pretty fun. Okay, and then I wanted to mention Suzume no Tojimari, which is a anime movie about a strange door that appears that transports people from place to place, past, future, and so on and so forth. That's also on. You can rent it now for streaming. I think that's probably worth a watch. Anything we've left out, guys?
You said
Sorry, okay.
oh no, I was just gonna mention that we chatted about Romantic Killer last night.
Oh yeah, that is something.
Which
we need
is
to talk
fall. At least October.
Yeah, it actually just came out maybe a week ago now. So Romantic Killer, I actually really like. It's a Netflix show about, it's like a cosmic horror Netflix dating show simulation thing. It
Sounds wild.
It's about this weird cosmic entity who is being paid to do research about Japanese dating sim games. Who has magical powers, and so she or it or he chooses this girl to do an experiment on and basically forces them into a number of relationships. So this is a sort of classic kind of otaku style girl. She actually has no interest in dating, so she really likes cats, she likes chocolate, and she likes playing video games. So it confiscates all of those in the world for her. So every time she wants to look at her cat, the cat is elsewhere. In fact, it's so elsewhere that her parents move away out of the house with the cat.
To America.
To America. All of her games stop working. Every time she goes to buy chocolate, it's sold out, or something like comic happens, like some poop falls on it or something.
It's like a magic shield that prevents it from even grabbing some from a frame.
Yes. And so it's like, it's a bit of torture going on there.
There's a lot of torture going on there.
She also beats the living hell out of that cosmic entity thing quite often.
And yet it doesn't stick. It
No.
just doesn't stick.
No matter how much damage, it just sort of heals itself up.
Yeah, that wizard.
And I think the funny thing is, none of it's... I think it's quite well thought out, the world. So the main character doesn't really want to be doing this, but doesn't see any choice that she has. But she's not happy about it. The creature integrates the various love interests that it's wanting to do like research on into her life in kind of strange ways.
The Ikemen.
Yeah, so the Ikemen, silent type character just gets his apartment flooded, and like a series of things happen that basically makes him have to live with her for like a month, right? And you feel really sorry for him because it's just a comical set of like really poor, really unlucky things that happen to him.
I mean, like throughout this whole process, you start thinking that perhaps this magical school or college or company that this fucking thing works for should possibly have a policy relating to ethics.
Clearly not. Clearly,
like,
this is a wizard school. That doesn't fly. That's in place.
Puts everyone through hell.
Yes. The second character is the what do you call it? The childhood friend, but she doesn't have any childhood friends. So the wizard brainwashes a random student into believing that he is the childhood friend
and
of this
has
person.
A crush on her
And
that is unrequited. Like, it's horror. You're accurate. It's horror.
It is, right?
It's awful.
And I haven't watched all of it yet. It is all out because it's a Netflix thing, so you can binge watch the whole thing if you want. I've just gotten to the point where they're introduced to the rich kid. And we'll see what's happened to him, I suppose.
Yeah, I've reached episode 8, and I can't do that anymore to myself. I've had to stop. I don't know what it is about it. Like I was convinced in the beginning that this would be one of my favorite shows going in.
Right.
For this round, because I thought, okay, it's like kind of like a reverse Otome.
Yes.
Sort of what it was advertised to be in the beginning, and that it is not a reverse Otome. It is an Otome that is cruel. That is what it is.
No,
like, okay,
yeah. No, I understand. I think I felt similarly in the beginning, but I'm still enjoying it. I kind of the weird like the brainwashing thing and all that stuff is just so out of left field for TV anime, and it's something like Netflix is getting away with because it doesn't have to contend with, certain regulations, I believe, And I kind of approve of that kind of weirdness. I mean, I think that's what made like Edge Runners like good for a lot of people, in the over-the-topness. This has that same level of over-the-topness, just applied to like a romantic comedy. And I'm still enjoying it. I don't know where it's going and what made you stop, Dill, but I think I recommend it quite strongly.
I just hope that in the end she ends up with a harem of men that she gets to take home. I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say about it.
I mean, she'll need to take care of them for the rest of their lives because they're all broken.
Yeah, they really are. Like, I think what I don't like about it is the fact that the Ikemen are actually, they obviously have more going on down in the surface, but in the back of your mind, you know that a lot of this is you don't even know if they're real people. They're like,
right.
They're either brainwashed or they're like, one you can tell has like probably had some deep trauma that had to do with being stalked or something, which is why he lives on his own.
Yes.
And you're like, well, I kind of want to find out, but now I'm not convinced that that's real either. So I don't know if I want to find out, because you might like go through this whole motion just for it to be like,
not to harp on about the brainwashed guy, but
yeah.
you kind of understand the scope of the brainwashing in some of the episodes, where his friend, another girl, has also suddenly had her memory altered, that she is also aware of the childhood, and everyone in the school also understands that this is her childhood friend, and his mother as well is like, don't you remember me, darling? I am Auntie da 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 da. It's dark.
It's all in that pretense of trying to fix the population problem.
Yes. Oh, there was that.
Why don't you just brainwash people to think that they're already banging, and they'll continue doing that? Like, I don't understand why we're doing this weird macabre dance.
But it's presented in like a sort of cosmic horror bureaucracy, right? So this person this wizard is doing research for the Japanese government, but they just happen to be like a wizard at the same time. And so they have certain limitations, on themselves, which they have to abide to. And they're being paid to do it. That's their only motivation, is money.
That's true. It is.
Right?
It is their salary.
Exactly. So it's so, but I mean, on the surface, it's kind of not dark. It's kind of just a fun comedy. But especially just that first few seconds of that end song, where the smile changes to that dark, horrific grin, Yeah, that's what the story is really about, and what's interesting to me. Okay, I think that's going to exhaust all of our anime topics.
One thing, sorry,
Sure.
You guys had a chat while I was saying.
Sorry about that.
Naruto. Studio Perio posted a video called Road of Naruto, celebrate Naruto's 20th anniversary. Anybody who ever watched any Naruto for any period of time, I suggest you just give it a watch. It's like a 5-minute video, and it's like a celebration of the animation from that era. I think it's actually quite good.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for chatting with me. Thanks everyone for listening. This has been an exhaustive list of all the anime. Cheers for now.
Ciao.
Bye.